Hello and welcome to the latest from Hearts Standard. My name is Joel Sked and I'm delighted to be joined by my colleague James Kearney as we look back on the final Heart of Midlothian fixture of this season as we drew 3-3 with Rangers on Saturday. Before we get to that, James, we're a day late doing this, partly because of fully because of myself and my inability to take myself home early on Saturday, and then my inability to deal with hangovers. So we are a day behind. But other than that, how's it going?
Yeah, that's going all right. I mean, to be fair, there's mitigation there. I mean, last day of the season, lots of great pubs around in Gorgie, nice weather. What are you meant to do? You're only human.
Yeah, I know. I am only human, but I've got absolutely no self-discipline when it comes to. It's like, I just have one more drink. And then we might have done this earlier today, but we were both playing in a match at Tynecastle Park today because Heart Standard's sponsorship of the Player of the Month awards. We were invited along to play in a sponsors day at Tynecastle, which was a lot of fun. I am absolutely shattered now, though. And how are you feeling with it? Did you enjoy yourself?
I definitely enjoyed myself, but also realised that I'm just rubbish at football.
And to be fair, you didn't lie when you told me that it's like I'm quick, I can run, but just don't give me the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like I lived up to that. I got behind a couple of times and just couldn't control the ball, for instance. Things like that. So, or got into a great crossing position and I don't have a left foot, so just kind of tapped it meekly at the goalie, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that was my fault for saying that you could play left wing. So I'll take some of the blame for that. Before we move on to discuss the game from the weekend, I, of course, have a message from our sponsors, Viessmann Boilers. Viessmann, renowned for their exceptional German engineering, is a leader in the boiler industry worldwide. They've now partnered with Scotland's own award-winning installation team, MPH Boilers, for a collaboration that's a match made in Scotland. When it comes to heating, Viessmann Boilers stand out with efficiency and reliability. Thanks to advanced technology and the local expertise of MPH Boilers, you're guaranteed top-tier installation and service. Together, they're offering an unbeatable deal, a free internet controller with every Viessmann boiler, making it effortless to control your heating. Plus, they're throwing in the first year's service for free, ensuring your peace of mind. If you've been thinking about upgrading your boiler, there's never been a better opportunity. With Viessmann's world-class engineering and MPH Boilers' award-winning service, your home heating is in the best hands. Viessmann and MPH Boilers is a match made in Scotland. Don't wait until it's too cold. Check them out today and step into a warmer, more efficient home. Now we are just
before we get going.
Sorry,
Joe, just to quickly jump in. When are we going to have our sponsors event with the good folks from MPH Group and Viessmann? We can get a 5 aside going or something like that.
That's true. And then they can finally ask about maybe switching up the message that I have to read to every video. But yeah, we'll maybe someone somewhere down the lane will do that. We, of course, are going to speak about the Rangers game in terms of now the season's finished. We'll still do regular videos, like we're kind of day behind, but we'll certainly do a couple over the next week, 2 or 3 over the next week, kind of reviewing the season. We'll do a kind of our own award show in terms of we'll just come up with different awards because there'll be some where just Shankland wins them all. So we'll try and get creative, and we'll do that on the site as well over the next week or so as we look back, and then there'll be plenty to discuss over the coming weeks regarding transfers, pre-season plans, etc. There'll be plenty, and we've got plenty coming up on the site over the next few weeks as well. So yeah, there'll be that to come. But in terms of the weekend to round off the season, it was a very, very entertaining 3-3 draw at Tynecastle Park. Hearts went ahead through Lauren Shankland, then conceded 3 goals in the space of 30 minutes in the second half before Dexter Limbikisa and then Kioski Tagawa scored an absolute stunning equalising goal. If you've not watched it yet, anyone, I would thoroughly encourage you to go and watch the Hearts TV clip of it the Hearts have put out with Laurie Dunsire's commentary that remarkably did not lose his voice on either Tagawa or Kioski, where he screamed both of them out.
He's very close. His voice is very close to breaking the entire time, but that's what last minute. That's what scoring a volley, equaliser against Rangers for the last kick of the season will do. And again, we've touched on it. a bit in midweek, but could there have been a more popular goal scorer? Probably not. Great fun, great way to round off the season. But yeah, bit of a weird game. Very, very last day of school.
Yeah, I enjoyed that line. So James's analysis from the weekend's up on the site now. I'd encourage anyone to read it. It kind of looks at how Hearts started well in the first half and then how they got back into the game very well after the break off to go 3-1 down. And yeah, I like that line you used. It had the last day of school feel to it. What was just touching on briefly, because we'll go into different topics, but what was the one thing that stood out for you on the rewatch?
That's a good question. I'd probably go for I think Vargas. I think we touched on him in the instant analysis, and we both said that he had a good game. I thought he actually had a really good game watching it back. And okay, he gets the assist for the second goal for Lempikisa. But I thought that was just the way he was constantly just stretching the lines, getting behind, and basically just trying to provide that option for direct counter attacks. And that kind of long ball forward that this Rangers defense, this Rangers team really don't like it. They really don't like it. You hear them complaining about their fans complaining about this. They concede this goal constantly. Teams just lump it forward and then they're in. And one of the big things I think we've touched on a lot this season, the fact that Hearts maybe don't have the pace at times in the final third in order to really make the most of that. Now Vargas, I think he did his best. I think again on another day maybe gets a goal or two even. I thought Oda had a really good game as well. Part of it though, I think you have to say, is the fact that it was a bit of a cobbled together defence from a Rangers perspective. I mean, you had Robbie Fraser was at left back, and in centre half you had Ben Davies and Leon King, who are fourth and fifth choice centre backs at Rangers. So yeah, there was. I think it was an opportunity yet to really kind of test them again, because again, these are players who don't play a lot. They aren't, might not be as familiar or as certain about what they're meant to be doing and when and all that kind of stuff. And again, it's an apparent weakness. So I think that just kind of launching it quickly, getting it in behind, giving them something to chase, asking questions of a defence that probably don't want to be questioned very much. And I think Vargas was central to all that. So yeah, I think Vargas had a really good game, and it was nice to see Hearts just finally get something out of a game against Rangers this season, because God knows they've come close a couple of times but never quite managed to get something. So it's not quite the win that we would have liked. It's not quite the win that gets Hearts above to breach that 70-point barrier. Rangers are still the only domestic team to go unbeaten against Hearts this season. But at least it does bring an end to that 5 straight defeats. It didn't become 6, and again, the way the game panned out, coming back from 2 goals down, just quite fitting, I think, for this season where we've seen so many first halves where it's been poor, and then the second half, the Hearts come rolling back into it. So it's nice to see again Hearts finishing the game on a high note, getting that draw, getting that point. And it just kind of helps again just lift the feel-good factor, I think, going into the close season.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing for me, is that I thought it would have been disappointing to end the season on a defeat, especially on an afternoon where, because I kind of started writing out that it was another missed opportunity against Rangers where Hearts had got in front, had played well in the first half, had against a Rangers side that weren't great, and then just allowed them to come back into it really easily. And I thought there was an easiness about the way Rangers scored their goals, which was obviously disappointing. But to finish on the high, and it was, and I know we didn't win. It was a really nice way to finish. And Graham in the chat said he was made the point it was very reminiscent of Zifuk's goal against Rangers in the Championship with nothing to play for. I do remember that again, heading towards a defeat, and Zifuk comes up trumped late on in front of the Gorgie stand the way that Tagawa did. So it just meant everyone was leaving Tynecastle with a skip and a step, and it meant it was a nice atmosphere afterwards for Peter Haring's goodbye, and then the lap of honour as well. And just when you're talking about in terms of points won from going behind, Hearts only Kelly and Motherwell won more points from losing positions than Hearts did in the past season, which is again it's a good record, and it's a good barometer of a side, and resilience. I think it's a really good way to measure teams who are able to go behind and come back and get results. I mean, Hearts have done it from 2 goals down as well this season a couple of times, whether it's to win it or to draw it. So yeah, that was great. To go back to the start of the game, I thought it was quite a positive starting lineup. And I thought there was a positive start to it as well. I thought Devlin played really well to begin with, and then he got a wee bit. It was almost like a wee bit of old school Devlin in the eyes of a lot of fans, where he did so much good work off the ball, but then there was times where his decision making on the ball or his passing let him down. Whether that's his fault or the lack of options in midfield, and Rangers then pinching the ball off. But he impressed. I thought he impressed me in stages, and then Sander Clark came up with some really big saves, both when it was in the first half when Hearts were drawn or when it 1-0, and then also at the end where he came up with he produced a few good saves when it was 3-1, and then that allowed Hearts, or 3-2, and that allowed Hearts to stay in the game and get that point towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Sander Clark had a fantastic game on Saturday. I mean, that's one of the best games he's had this season, I would argue. I feel like it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, it does help the fact that Dessers was a lot of the chances falling to Dessers, and he was very much having an off day.
Is it an off day for Dessers, or is it just a normal day? Normal day's job.
I mean, the thing that always gets said about him, and to be fair, it's kind of true, I think, is that he needs 4 chances to score or something like that. Because he'll miss some sitters, and particularly the one where Rolls. I mean, don't know what Rolls was trying to do there. Yeah. He just gets his pocket picked by McCausland inside his own box. McCausland does the right thing, just quite square to Dessers because that's the easy tap in, and then somehow it doesn't go in. So I mean, that was absolutely brilliant. But there's a few moments like that where you just thought, oof. I mean, I think it's probably a combination of Dessers not a particularly good finisher, but also just Clark just reacting brilliantly and doing everything he can to stop it. So no, I thought he had an excellent game on Saturday, and you're right. I mean, without him in goals, I don't think it finishes a draw.
Yeah, I thought I was really pleased for him to finish the season on a high. I think when you look back over the season, he's had a really, really good campaign, and at a time where there's been just a lot of focus on Craig Gordon, and understandably so. It's Hearts legend, and people were wanting him to come back after another injury out, and there's a lot of that kind of just hanging over him. I thought he performed really well when Gordon came back and was putting pressure on him, and he didn't really have. I can't think of him having a poor performance since in the second half of the season, but it was just on the Dessers. Dessers talking. I just wanted to bring Shankland in because you put together a piece, the stats behind Lonnie Shankland's goals this season. You put up a piece together last week when he hit 30 goals, and you showed with the stats just how good a finisher Shankland is. And I just think you compare Shankland to Dessers, and that's where I've seen stats over the weekend where Dessers missed a lot of big chances. He's not been performing as well in front of goal, and then you've got Shankland who just makes. I think you said it, where he makes decent chances, good chances, and good chances like fantastic and great chances because of his finishing attributes. And he did it again. And it was, I know you wrote about it and said you weren't sure if Oda was playing it through to Vargas or Shankland. I like you, thought he was playing through to Vargas, but then it gets to Shankland and you think there's always that moment in me where Shankland, he's running through and goal, it's like, right, he's going to get caught or someone's going to get a block in, but his first touch is brilliant and allows him just to run on and produce a wonderful, just dinked finish.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of situation. Obviously, you want Shankland to be in as much as possible. One-on-one with the goalie, decent, kind of relatively high XG, that kind of thing. For all the stats nerds out there, like basically, yeah, the difference between Shankland's XG and his post-shot XG, which is kind of the odds of the chance going in when it first falls to him, then the odds of the chance going in once he's actually hit the ball. And it's just a massive leap, the humongous leap, and there's no other player in Scotland that comes close to it. Not like Kyogo, not Dennisers, certainly not Miovski, anyone like that. It's just, that's what makes Shankland such a remarkable finisher. Because he has comfortably hit the most shots in the league of any player this season. And it should be pointed out that actually a lot of his shots from distance aren't, they don't go in. I remember looking at the breakdown of all his shots, and it's like something like it's like 70 odd of his like lowest XG shots, like none of them go in. So it's like the ones where he's really far out, stop doing that, Lawrence, because you can't really do it.
That's
sacrilege, but like the ones where it's like a little bit closer, where it's like edge of the box kind of thing, where it's maybe instinctive, you're snatching at it a bit, maybe, whereas maybe the ball's maybe you're off balance a bit, maybe the ball's coming at an awkward height, whatever it might be. These sort of things that would trip up a normal footballer, they don't trip up Shankland. In fact, he gets better. And like that's where you see the difference. Is like it's not in he's not a guy who scores lots of high quality chances, and he doesn't score extremely low quality chances. Someone like I can't think of anyone now, but he's not like constantly hitting digs from 40 yards and they're going in or anything. They don't really work. But those ones where it's still a very slight chance of going in, but just like kind of one step easier, I suppose. Like that's where Shankland like really excels, and that's what's different about him. Like that's statistically, that's where you see the difference between someone like him and someone like Dessers, which it feels unfair to compare them because come on.
Yeah, it feels unfair, but then the comparison's there because I think again there's still feels there's snobbery with Old Firm. There's a snobbery with the Old Firm and players doing well in Scotland, but at the same time, we're kind of glad they have that snobbery, so they don't go for the best players from Hearts, which is good. But that's just a natural comparison. They think, someone has scored in the Eredivisie or has played in Serie A. Let's spend a lot of money on him.
You see how many times do you see a young Scottish player? It's like, he's obviously brilliant. Someone should sign him. And then it's the obvious ones like obviously famously Celtic with McGinn.
Yeah,
they spent more money on disco lights that summer than they did. They could have got John McGinn for that. Fine. Or Rangers when they were getting linked with a move for Lewis Ferguson, and people were going, like it's only because of his uncle. It's only because of his surname. That's the only reason he's getting linked. It's like, yeah, he's just captained a team to fourth in the Serie A, and they're going to play. He's going to play Champions League next season. Like I think he's all right, But yeah, like you say, the snobbery, it's good for the rest of us. Let's be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Graham says here, 59 goals in 2 seasons is sensational in different types of finishes. He is incredible. Absolutely. And this is something, I'm going to put up a comment by Mark Allison on Facebook. This is something that will lend itself to a whole show later on in the season, if it is later on in the summer, if it does happen, which hopefully it doesn't, but you never know how the next couple of months are going to play out. But can you see us improving next year, Shankland, in the world where Shankland exits Hearts in the summer? Can you see Hearts improving? This is where I think we had the conversation on Saturday, and we're speaking to a couple of folk. It's almost like when it comes to replacing Shankland, I don't think Hearts replace Shankland with someone else at Shankland. I think Hearts replace Shankland by signing a few different options.
Yeah, at the risk of being incredibly on brand, like the movie Moneyball, the stats, the baseball guys, one video, the stats nerds are the heroes. What a surprise! I really like that movie. But so at that point we're talking about some guy who they had to sell some great player, and then they're talking about we need to replace him. It's like, but you can't replace him. So what are you talking about? You can't. You need to try and recreate him in the aggregate. And like,
exactly.
That's what you get. You get a few more goals out of Vargas, a few more goals out of Oda. Some out of Boyce, hopefully a few out of Tagawa, bring in another striker, and hopefully that all adds up to the 31 or whatever it is. So I think that, it's difficult to say, to be honest, because let's be honest, Shankland has dug Hearts out of quite a fair few holes this season, and I think anyone coming in is probably not going to be as good as him. I think that's reasonable, which, you kind of go, okay, well, the team's worse then, isn't it? Because you're taking away a good player, replacing with a lesser player. But the other side of it is that, there'll be 1 year more further down the line with Naismith's ideas, they're getting more used to it. It can get a little bit more complicated, and hopefully in the final third, which is what we've been talking about a lot as well. That's the kind of part that always takes the longest to really coach and drill players into. And there are other players who will improve, I'm sure, next season as well. It's a young squad Hearts have got. Players, there's lots of room for potential there. So I'm going to sit on the fence and be like, kind of, in some ways yes, and in some ways no. And obviously a lot of it depends on who comes in as well. But a lot of these times as well, when you have got that kind of talismanic player and they do move on, obviously there's a lot of kind of soul searching going, oh God, what do we do now? But in some ways it does it's a little bit liberating in a sense.
Well, yeah, that's a good word to use.
Particularly with something like Shankland, where it's like, okay, you need to build a team around this guy. Whereas if someone lesser, you don't have to do that. Then okay, there's more responsibility shared out elsewhere in the park. So, I guess that's a very long-winded way of saying I don't know. I'll stick with that.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's one that we will no doubt have to discuss or cross in the next couple of months. Also, again, depends how things play out and with Shankland the Euros and stuff. But we won't dwell on it too much because let's try and be positive and not look at what the worst thing happening and Shankland leaving in the summer. But yeah, you look at his and just his involvement and build up as well. I think there's more than just goals that you need to replace with Shankland. But someone who has started scoring, Tagawa. I mean, he came off the bench. There wasn't much involvement, but my goodness, what a finish! What a finish!
Yeah, it was just remarkable. I think it's just because it's a really aesthetically pleasing goal to watch, and I know people kind of go, "What are you talking about? It's a big lump up the park." But okay, yeah, there's a big lump up the park to flick on, but the way that he meets it, like he's going full sprint and he anticipates it perfectly and he just meets it perfectly, and it's just one of those things. There's nothing anyone can do about it. No goal in the world stopping that. It's just like absolute rifle and into the far post. And again, we saw his goal against St Mirren, whereas it's a good finish. Yeah, fine. Yeah, that was a great finish. And again, that's I guess there's another little nice indicator of what Tagawa can offer and what he can do. Because I remember you saying to me, I think it was on Saturday that when it comes to you ask the players about in training, who impresses and all that, and everyone says Tagawa's finishing in training is absolutely brilliant and Shankland's is rubbish. And so you watch it and you watch on Saturday, you're like, what are you talking about? Yeah. But then Craig Gordon did also say Alex Cochrane's the best finisher in training, so now I don't know what to believe.
I know. It's
so, but I do think though that that's probably the first. Like it's the moment of greatest quality he's done. It's the first thing, to be honest, this season that Tagawa has done that really makes you sit up and go, oh wow, that was really impressive. Not many players can do that. Whereas the other thing, he's had good moments and stuff he's done all right at, and stuff is that was pretty good. But nothing that's made you kind of sit back and go, oh wow. So yeah, again, just another really nice moment, really encouraging moment for him as well. Just to we kind of talked about it after remember, to get that monkey off his back, and then just to give fans that little glimpse of what he can bring to the team, because as we talked about, the team might be needing more of him next season.
Yeah, I think it's kind of titled this like where does that rank in terms of moments this season? I think it's high up there just because of the nature of the goal, the atmosphere after, and just how happy everyone is, and just kind of round off the results. So I mean, it's not the most important goal. It didn't really mean much in terms of the season as a whole, but just the way it happened, the time it happened, and the fact that it was basically the last kick of the season. It was just a lovely moment for Tynecastle Park, and a great moment for him and his teammates. And that's where you saw the I think team spirit. I think you spoke to the guys after, spoke to Cammy Devlin afterwards, spoke to Xander Clark afterwards, and like both couldn't be any happier for Tagawa, and both were just very appreciative of how difficult it has maybe been for him to settle in. He's not fluent in the language. Like Cammy Devlin made the point that he's come from halfway across the world, but he could speak English. It's a massive part of the battle to settle in. Tagawa couldn't. So yeah, that's really nice. And from a moment from maybe a few weeks ago, you were thinking, wonder if Tagawa has a future at Hearts going into the summer, going into next season. And now he scored 2 goals in his last 2 games, one of a screamer against Stunner against Rangers. And you're thinking, okay, that's that for him. He probably don't want the season to, for him. He probably doesn't want the season to end, but it does, like you say, give a very good impression of what he can bring to the team. And it does mean that there's not just like kind of what if question around him, and kind of just now fans are looking, okay, that's what he can do. Let's see more of it, rather than just let's see any of it.
Yeah. And Joe, the other thing is the fact that Joe, I think we should both personally claim Tagawa's goal on Saturday as a matter of vindication for any time we've done any of these videos before a Rangers game and said, Tagawa could play, it does make sense tactically,
Yes, Scott McIntosh deserves some credit here as well.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. I'm sure I've had this conversation with Scott before, for sure. So, that was a nice one. Again, it's just nice again to just have that clear idea of what it is that he can bring to the team. And again, it's just about obviously try to maintain that momentum as best he can over summer, and then just kind of coming back and going, right, new season, new me, and without any of that baggage weighing him down, which it might well have had he not scored either of those goals recently. So yeah, you're right. I mean, I think it wasn't that long ago where you'd have said Tagawa, maybe he's going to be back on loan to Japan, or maybe he's going to go here or there, wherever it might be. But now you look at it and go, you'd imagine he's probably going to be you'd like to hope anyway he's going to be a big part of the squad going forward.
In terms of the squad going forward, I'm just trying to look for the quotes here. Give me 2 seconds. Let's because before we kind of finish up, like I said, we'll talk about the transfers and the squad, how the squad's looking, and we would like to see certain stuff done. But Stephen Naismith was asked about Scott Fraser and Dexter Limbikisa and kind of their future. He said, find it. We've had our conversations with them in terms of where they come back, and not a lot of that will be factored into the clubs. I think getting into Europe, having the season we have, the players being involved as much as they have does help you in that respect. But a lot comes down to the parents' clubs who have a pathway for each player. You need to see if one, they are the right player to come back, and secondly, if a deal can be done. There are 2 players who I think have settled in really well. In terms of whether or not we get them back or whether they want them back, I think they have been really good characters for the group. Ultimately, we need to see what the deals are for them before we commit to deciding on that. I couldn't have asked any more of them off the pitch as well as on the pitch. So, as well as Michael McGovern, Andy Halliday, Peter Haring, all exiting, obviously Benny Meningame signed a new deal, and Blair Spittle, Yandan and James Penrice are coming in on pre-contract deals. What is your view on Scott Fraser and Dexter Limbikisa?
I would be surprised.
I'm going to take.
I'd be surprised if either stuck around.
Yeah.
I don't think either have shown enough over since they both came in January to suggest that. I mean, Fraser's barely played. Let's be frank. He's played the odd 20 minutes here and there off the bench. At Limbikisa, I mean, he's been an upgrade on Atkinson in some respects, but he's also got weaknesses that we've spoken about as well. So again, I think that, we've said this a few times, I think Hearts need to sign 2 right backs this summer, to be honest.
I mean, James, we played a right back, he played a flat back 4 on Saturday, and we played Stephen Kingsley at right back. I think that tells you a hell of a lot that you need, what you need to know about where the priority is this summer. With Dexter Limbikisa, there's a player there, but I think there's a player there who can only really play right wing back or as a right winger. I don't see a future for him as a Hearts right back, which I think is. I think that's what everyone has seen from him, because he has been positive with the ball. He's quick, but defensively, hasn't been solid. We've seen it with the goal. Fabio Silva seemed to be caught on his heels for the 3rd goal. Then Scott Fraser. Feel from I think it's taken him a while to get up the speed of things. After being, I think he had missed, was either illness or injury, missed a spell. Naismith likes him in this centre midfield, kind of deeper position. had that assist for Shankland goal as well against Dundee. But my issue with him, I just think a wee bit too ponderous. I just don't think he's maybe he would be quicker once he had more game time and played with the team a lot. But I just felt he was kind of slow in possession and slow out of it as well, or too slow, I should say.
Yeah, and also it's an area where Hearts has signed another 2 players that can come in and play there.
Yeah.
So there's going to be that's an addition on what they've already got at the moment, even if he were to go. So yeah, I just think there's we've talked about it before, but Hearts aren't shy of centre mids at the moment, and they certainly won't be in a couple of weeks' time whenever the contracts expire and these players move officially and all that kind of stuff. Because at that point, particularly for those guys who you want maybe playing maybe at the base of midfield, you could carry the ball, or maybe playing a bit further forward and try to base playmakers. Like, there's guys who have got permanent contracts at Tynecastle for next season who you think he might have to go because he's not going to get a game. Like, for instance, someone like George Grant, like who you're going to go wouldn't be the biggest surprise in the world if he left. If he looked at Spittle and Benny signing a new deal, Spittle coming in, Danda coming in, going, I didn't play as much as I would like this season anyway. So yeah, I don't really see where he fits in, and I don't think from what I've seen anyway this season, I don't think there's anything that he brings to the table that someone else isn't already doing better, basically.
And I think the point is with Naismith, he doesn't want to, shouldn't be in a position where we're just signing players to fill out squad when Naismith's talking about having an avenue for younger players to play there as well. So yeah, I think you said there's no one in the squad or coming into the squad who doesn't do what kind of Fraser offers. And Graham says in the chat that he wouldn't keep either. Lembeke's defence very poor. Fraser isn't an improvement on what we have. So I think that's pretty much sums it up for that. But I thought I'll just get your input into that, having seen that over the weekend. But we'll leave it there. We'll be back potentially later on this week to probably look back at the season as a whole in greater detail, look at some awards and have a bit of fun with that. But until then, thank you very much, everyone, for continuing to watch, support, subscribe, read, and just give us your feedback. Be sure to check out James's analysis piece on the Rangers game on the site. Over the next week or so, we've got some stuff with Liam Fox in the B team. We'll have a chat with Eva Olid ahead of the Scottish Cup final, the Women's Scottish Cup final on Sunday, as well as a bit of bits and bobs in terms of analysis. And we will be looking, James and I will be at some point this week or next week looking at all 31 of Lauren Shankland's goals and trying to distill them down to a rating from 31 to 1. So yeah, it'll be I think that'll be a fun thing to do potentially.
Yeah, I expect there'll be some lively debate as well, which is always good fun.
The Dundee one the other week is certainly going to be very low on my list. Potentially 29, 30, 31. Where the John McCracken really should have saved it. But so that's an easy one down the bottom. But there is a lot of really, really good finishes that's going to be very difficult to decide. But that is for a later date. Thank you very much, James. And until the next game, goodbye and have a good week.